But we're really lucky because Annette used to be involved at an executive level at MPI. So to have her here to cross over is pretty awesome. Like, what made you decide? I know we asked and you said yes quickly, which we appreciate. Like, why was it important for you to be here as our closing speaker and to do the crossover event with us?
Well, for me, the way I regard professional associations in our
Hmm.
space is that we're all better together. So, we have 30 associations in the business event space. And when you're thinking about a new person entering our industry, that's really fragmented, really confusing.
Hmm.
So my whole attitude, both when I was at MPI as chief revenue officer and now I'm CEO of Site, is how do we partner better together? So the whole business events industry wins. This is whether we're sharing education or we're sharing opportunities like, hey, I'll promote your event and you promote mine, or just doing even promotions for each other to have memberships together. It just doesn't make sense for us to keep these things separate. So that's my whole spirit, is better
Yeah.
together.
Yeah.
Love your spirit.
Yes, I have to compliment you that because a lot of times it's been kind of separate in silos or whatever, and you're choosing to kind of cross over and blend. So we appreciate that. That's really complimentary. So thank you for that. Of course. Yes, of course.
Hear all your thoughts.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
All the time
We
you
could
want.
all the time you want.
Associations. I think it's a little old school to think about that the only value proposition for associations is the number of members you have. You're going to live and die by that metric. Oh, we're 10% up this year. Oh, we're 10% down this year.
Yeah.
So I really prefer to think of it as a community. We are the business events community, and you're going to find the group that resonates with you based on your needs. So if we're all one big community and, the local chapter of MPI is your people, then go in, just join that chapter, get all in with that. Maybe the local chapter of Site is more your people for whatever reason. Then choose that one, or it's PCMA. So I
Right.
just feel like it's a different mentality, that it's the value proposition for me as an executive in an association is growing the brand of business events globally. And sometimes that means you're going to join Site. Sometimes you may never join Site, but it doesn't mean that we can't be a valuable resource to those people.
And I know you said something one time that really stuck out in my head, and it was about our importance in this industry to be face to face and the value that we have on the general human condition. So can you expand on that? Because you said it stuck with me, and I would just love for everybody to hear your thoughts on that.
Absolutely. So, I've been in a lot of different seats in this industry, and
Mhm.
there's a lot of parts. Joe Martin,
Right.
sharing,
Hmm.
staffing the bus at 5 a.m. or stuffing name badges. So
Yes.
if we equated the value of the work we do with the tactics and some of the operational work we've had to do, we would kind of lose our steam because we're not in it for the money.
Hmm.
So for me, it's back to that Simon Sinek is what's our why. And when I do research on like some of the stuff I'm going to talk today about is what's happening with the general human condition and how face-to-face engagement can solve those things, then that's what gets me up in the morning. That's what gets me excited about staying in this industry, recruit others to this industry. It's like when you look at current stats about loneliness and isolation, and especially this virtual
Yeah.
hybrid workforce,
Yeah. Hmm.
people are really struggling out there. And you get them out of their offices, you give them a great thing like WeCon to come to, and we're in this beautiful setting like the desert, and their right brain is ignited.
Yes.
They're sharing energy from other people. You're laughing. You're beating things like isolation and depression by just being together. Humans were meant to be together.
Yes.
So
Yes.
that's why it is a bigger why for me. I love that we're back and we're all supporting jobs again. But the bigger thing for me is, we're actually winning in humanity. We're winning a human struggle right now, and that's really important to me.
Many
Feels great to hear.
many people say like they're talking about how we're back as an industry. What's one metric that you look at that kind of confirms this for you? Like, what are you looking at that kind of really says this is true?
Yeah, so there's two sources I'm going to be talking about today, and one is Meetings Outlook data from MPI, and they do that quarterly. And then we have a survey that we do at Site called the Incentive Travel Index. So it's a little more niche, but it supports what Meetings Outlook is showing. So the general gist everyone's saying is, but just by looking at kind of group room nights booked for this year and next year. Most people are saying that our industry will be fully back to 2019, which 2019 was the high water mark for our industry. Be back fully by 2025. But you look at certain segments and definitely certain destinations, they're already back. You know, you talk about our industry, people are tired out there. People are like, I'm busy. I'm
tired. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
some headwinds we're still facing is that staffing challenge. So part of what I'm going to be looking at today is, while I truly believe the skies are bright right now for us, we do have some headwinds we have to be honest about. We have staffing shortages that are affecting the experience of travelers. So some of the local data or recent data from global GBTA, Business Travel Association, is that over 70% of business travelers are having negative travel experiences. So we don't want, if that's
too high,
it's too high.
Yeah.
And if that employee has a choice of like, oh, I'm going to go to the annual conference, no, I'm just going to watch it online. We don't want their flight delay or their bad experience in the hotel. We don't want those affecting their choice to say, no, I'm going to go, because being there is different than watching it online. So it's still some of those things we're struggling with. Even though the numbers are positive, we have some watch outs we still have to look at.
And what advice do you have for new people entering our industry, or people that have had awesome careers that are just coming into our industry maybe midstream? What advice do you have being a thought leader in our business?
I love that question. So let's start with the first part about entering new people, kind of considering or entering our business. You know, my recommendation is to lean in and to hang in there. You know, so I have one of those.
Yes. Yes. Shout out to Evan. Yes, Evan.
Just a great company. He's been 2 weeks and he wonders why he's not promoted. And I'm like, dear God, son, I'm gonna throttle you. But it's like,
dear God, son.
Some of the stuff, again, beginning stages of our career. How many of us fell into that first job that was like amazing? We all had to do some stuff that was like, oh, really? But we're learning. And what is the journey telling us of learning and finding mentors? And so my first recommendation is to really give something at least 6 months or a year, even if it's something that you're a little hesitant about, just because there is learning in the journey. It's not just always about that next job title or that higher pay. There's learning in the journey. And it's probably the same advice I'd give to somebody that's 10 or 15 years.
Okay. Yeah, because I was going to ask that. Yeah.
Learning in the journey. You know, sometimes we don't know what success looks like. Did I know at 32 that I wanted to be a CEO? No, but I did know that I wanted to keep learning and stay intellectually curious and professionally curious. So if we can just ask questions along the journey as we're in that middle of our career, and just stay curious and maybe, okay, cross over the line. You've always been on the supplier side of the business. Try being on the buyer side. Try being a man.
I did that.
Helps understand sides of our business and really that value proposition. And once you say, oh, I've walked in your shoes, I did work at a hotel, so I understand. I'm going to negotiate with a little more grace and fairness because I was in your seat. And then vice versa. You're on the supplier side, but you used to be a buyer. And you're like, I know what the buyer's looking for and the planner needs. So I just think staying professionally curious is my other piece of advice.
Good. Professionally curious. Yeah. Because I was going to ask you about, because we see a lot of like managers who have experience, maybe they're 10, 15 years in their career, they've hit a plateau. And so many of them are choosing to leave the industry.
Yes.
What would you say to people who are like, okay, I've come back from the pandemic, I'm working twice as hard as I did pre-pandemic. This is not working for me. I'm thinking about leaving. What's your message to them?
This is interesting timing you asked that. I just heard another podcast about kind of these two waves in our professional development. And one of them is kind of up until age 40-ish or so, where we really get to be subject matter experts. So maybe we're the best in our game in sales or the best in our game in operations. And then you see that job satisfaction kind of diminish, because once let's just say director of operations or director of events, and you're not progressing any further, and you see that kind of job satisfaction wane. And the podcaster was talking about that second wave is really where we really can grow really exponentially more in our 40s and 50s if you're developing, I'll just call it a little bit more of the EQ skills, because that's how everybody relate to
Yes.
those, but able to synthesize disparate thoughts, the ability to read audiences, the ability to lead. Those skills we are going to shine and develop and actually excel at better in our 40s and 50s. So I'd say if you're in your 30s and 40s and you're hitting that director level, think of ways that you can jump to that other mountaintop, because you won't be satisfied just doing directors of events for the next 10 years.
No.
You've done it. You've hit
Yes.
that mountaintop. So
Yes.
now to go back and say, okay, maybe now it's time to lead a team,
Hmm.
or time to start my own company, or time to be a consultant, or time to do a side hustle where I'm speaking and engaging my right brain like you do, right? Like
Yes.
this thing, this is your side hustle. So you guys engaging your right brain like you are, it's taking you to that second mountaintop.
Yeah. Can I ask my favorite question,
I
Manny?
was hoping you would ask. I was hoping you'd ask your favorite question, Amani.
My favorite question.
Let's hear
Here
it.
we go. If you could go back to 21-year-old Annette and give her advice based on everything that you know now, what advice would you give your younger, just beginning your career self?
So I think I would be I'd be a little more humble. It's wonderful to have, I'm not saying insecure. It's wonderful to have confidence. And we all need confidence. And I'd say, especially women, right? We need that. But I probably didn't ask as many questions as I could have of my mentors and managers, and really tried to learn more, because I think I probably thought I knew it. And I was so driven. And, at 22, I knew where I wanted to be at 25. And I think I missed some of the journey, missed a little bit of like, oh, what I could have milked that brain of that wonderful manager or mentor I had a little bit more. And instead, I was just like, okay, I'm done with you.
Shoot them up and spit them out. 24-year-old Annette.
Still,
Awesome. Well, thank you very much for stopping by. We can't wait to see your keynote speech in about a hour and a half. We'll be going. So just thank you for being a great ambassador for our industry and being very inspirational to us all too. You're welcome. Sure.
We love having you, and we can't wait to see you on the main stage in the Mesquite Ballroom at 1:30.
1:30. All right.